A very good morning to you. I am Jamie, and this is, of course, the Chat Wrap on Relax Radio. Hope you are having yourself an amazing day so far. We have so many amazing things to talk about that I want to share with you. So make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio. Now, with that being said, okay, listen, it's a Monday, and I feel like just because this weekend essentially felt so relaxing for me at least, and I truly did use this weekend to take some time off to catch my breath. And I feel like getting back into Monday, especially when you've had an amazing weekend, is super hard. It's so hard to get back into the grind. It's so hard to get back into the normal day-to-day routines, and it can be really hard getting back into the Monday spirit. But one thing I want to remind you is that's the way for almost everybody. But one thing that we will be making sure to do here within the next couple hours is give you a little bit of a boost, to get on with your day, to get started with your day, and to make sure that you feel as inspirational and motivated as possible. So if you want to, keep yourself informed, and also if you want to stay inspired and motivated, all you got to do is make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio. Now, with that being said, trust me when I say I've got a lot of amazing things to share with you today. Okay, firstly, I want to talk about, I would say, a very controversial topic, and I really do want your thoughts and your opinions. I want to talk about motherhood. Now, before you judge me, based on that topic, I want your opinion as to whether you think motherhood should be something that needs to be entered in a resume. Do you think it's an actual job? Do you think it requires a certain set of skills? What are your thoughts on motherhood? This is definitely something I want to explore together with you within the course of this show, which is why I want to make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio. Now, with that being said, before we go on into all of that interesting topics, I just want to remind you one quick thing. I want to remind you to be a part of the show. You can do that by calling me on 07852 or you could very simply comment down below. Now, if you're listening to us on any of our social media platforms, there should be a feature for you to comment somewhere, right? And when you do comment with us, I can read out your comments and we can have a good time together, and we can just hang out, and if you need to have some conversation, if you want to share your thoughts and ideas with me and with every single person listening in, well, this is the best opportunity for you to do so. So go right ahead, call me up, comment down below. If you like what we're talking about, or even if you disagree, doesn't matter. I want to hear what you're thinking. So make sure that you comment and be a part of the show, because for me, it is my greatest pleasure to know that you are enjoying and that you are a part of this conversation that we're trying to have. Because that essentially is our goal here at Relax Radio, okay? Our goal is to serve you and give you the best of content, is to give you something to talk about, is to give you some food for your mind. And that is why we want you to be a part of this journey with us. We're all about positivity. We're all about making sure that you feel loved, that you are informed, and you are inspired, which is why we want you to be a part of the show. And with that being said, I thought to start off the show, actually, I needed to talk to you about something that I personally have been extremely, I would say, curious about. And that is how to keep your mind sharp. Okay. Now, so I had this incident very recently where, well, not one incident, but this happens to me quite often where, so I live in a two-storied house and I go upstairs thinking that I need to get something. But when I do get upstairs, I forget why I went upstairs. And I'm just like, Jamie, what is wrong with you? And that for me is so, what's the word? Mind boggling, I think. And I'm just like, oh, am I growing old so fast? I'm just like 21 and I'm forgetting things. And for the longest time, I wanted to know what it takes to keep my mind fit, because yes, I love to I love to stay healthy. I love to, go on long walks. I like to go to the gym to keep my physical body healthy. But what can I do to keep my mind healthy? And what can I do to keep my mind sharp? Now, this I feel like is a conversation that everybody could benefit from. It doesn't matter if you're really old or really young. I feel like every single one of us at whatever point in our life, we need to kind of do whatever it takes to keep our mind sharp. So, what I'm going to do within the next couple hours is give you a few ways in which you can keep your mind sharp and quick and fast, and so that you could prevent things like dementia and amnesia later on in life, because these are very real things, and I've met people who do struggle with these sort of illnesses, and you could prevent it. There's definitely things that you could do to prevent diseases like that, especially with regards to things like dementia or amnesia, because these are very real things. So, what I'm going to share with you right now is a few things that you can do to keep your mind fit and sharp and healthy. Now, just as exercise essentially improves your physical health, brain workouts essentially strengthen your mind. Now, I know that sounds ridiculous. How do you take your brain to a gym? Is there like a brain gym? How essentially do you work out your brain? But I want you to keep it tuned right here, because that is exactly what we are going to be talking about. Now, boosting your memory and thinking skills is genuinely something that you could do right now, right here. Okay, and that essentially you could get it by stimulating your brain. So, how exactly can a person stimulate their brain? Well, the first thing is to exercise your mind. Now, okay, your mind and your body is interconnected. Now, this is something that we already spoke of earlier, but yeah, that is something that most of you already know. Your mind and body is a very much interconnected. Okay, and so often what benefits the body essentially benefits the brain. So, if you are regularly exercising your body, even simple walks, it goes a long way towards improving your memory and your cognitive skills. But that just isn't enough. Okay. Yes, it's amazing. It's amazing to have physical exercise. That's absolutely necessary. You need to, go on nature trails if possible. Pick up a tennis ball, or walk your dog, engage in yoga, or water aerobics, whatever you think you could be comfortable doing, do it. Because, like I said, your body and your mind is absolutely connected, which is why you need your physical exercise not just to stay physically fit, but also to stay mentally fit. Now, what else can you do to keep your mind mentally fit, or your brain mentally fit? Now, this is where intellectual stimulation comes in. Okay, so I read this really interesting study, and I know that sounds boring, but wait, hear me out, okay? In a study that was conducted by a neurology department in a university, they said that regular reading and writing in late life essentially reduces the rate of memory decline by 32%. Okay, which means that if you want your brain to be active, and if you want to give your brain some exercise, essentially what you need to do is to give it new information. You need to learn new things. And I know that sounds daunting. I know that sounds exhausting, but definitely it is something that you can do in your life. It is something that you can do for yourself that you are definitely going to benefit from. So go ahead and learn something new. Right? I hate this ideology in society that, like, oh, you're 50 years old. That's too old to start learning something new. No, screw that. That is not true. Age should never be a barrier for you to learn a new language or for you to learn something new. So it doesn't matter what age you are, just never forget to kind of engage your brain or engage your mind in whatever that you do. So, learn something new. Obviously, that could mean, okay, so what does learn something new mean? Learn something new could mean reading a book about a field that you know absolutely nothing about. If you don't know anything about how the body functions, if you are more of like a accounting numbers person and you don't really know anything about the biology of the body, pick up a book that's there for, I don't know, even if it's for sixth graders. Pick up a book and give yourself that kind of new knowledge, right? Then your brain kind of gets stimulated. You are intellectually stimulated, which is going to help you to reduce your memory decline later on in life. Okay, so definitely learn something new. Now, the other thing that I personally do, and this, of course, I don't just do it because I don't want to face memory decline, but I do it also because I have come to realize that I don't know if this is going to sound lame, you guys, but definitely doing things like crossword puzzles, or I have this app on my phone which essentially helps me. It's like a word game, and I know that sounds super nerdy and super lame, but when I tell you that it helps me to wake up, and it kind of gets my mind all active and ready for the day, I am telling you the absolute truth. Okay, so I think we started off this conversation by saying it's a Monday and it's so hard to get back into the grind. It's so hard to, get back into that work mode. But one thing that maybe you can do on a Monday, especially when you've given your brain time to sleep for like 2 days, what you can do to get back into the grind is to play a game, a word game, or a mentally stimulating game on your phone, right, early in the morning, because that is going to be like a cup of coffee, or it's going to be like a stimulant to your mind, and it essentially is going to help you be more productive in your day-to-day activities. So that's what I wanted to let you know. I want to remind you that it's so important to read books, read articles from fields that you haven't listened to or haven't encountered before. Give your brain food, basically. Your brain needs food as much as your body. So feed new things to your brain so that it doesn't slack off and it doesn't get lazy. Just give your brain new knowledge, give your brain new information so that your mind could be intellectually stimulated, so that you are not going to face things like dementia or memory decline or amnesia later on in life. But apart from that, another benefit is that on your day-to-day activities, you can be more productive, right? Because essentially doing these things that I've told you essentially is like a little pick-me-up for your brain in the morning. So definitely set aside some time each day for reading. You know, read to yourself, not from things that just you like, but give up and choose something new so that your brain essentially gets some new knowledge. What else? Eat healthy. That's absolutely important. Your brain needs good food. If you want to boost your brain, you need to include certain things in your diet, things like nuts and fish, and red wine, if I'm not mistaken, is also associated with or linked to a healthy brain. So you could speak to your dietitian, or just do your research and make sure that you pay attention to your mind as much as you do to your body. That's just what I wanted to remind you. When we started off the show, I wanted to remind you to give your brain as much attention as you do to every other aspect in life, because that's absolutely important. I feel like you might disagree with me, but I feel like one of our biggest assets as human beings is essentially our brain, right? If our brain doesn't function, no matter you being the most prettiest person on the planet, or you having the most amazing talent, if you can't use your brain, if you can't utilize your brain, there's going to be no point of all that. So your brain is your asset. You need to protect it. You need to give it food. You need to exercise it, which is why you need to pay attention to your mind, to your brain as well. Now, with that being said, let's head on over to a little break. But trust me when I tell you that I have a lot more to talk to you about. So make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio. When we come back, we're going to talk about some interesting things. So make sure that you tune in.
climb Mount Everest. That is one of my that's in my bucket list. You're laughing, but that is the facts right there. I'd love to do that. That is something I'm looking forward to do. Hopefully,
Climb Everest.
Mount Everest.
Yeah.
Okay, not the very tip of Mount Everest. Maybe the base camp at least.
You're talking about mental health. Well, if you went out and got some exercise in the fresh air, that would improve your mental health. It will make you feel better.
That's true. That is true. I wholeheartedly agree. But then for some people, it's how do you find the motivation to, especially when it comes to riding a bicycle, to do it again and again and again and again? It's a cycle that you have to be used to. How do you do it? What makes you wake up in the morning and decide, hey, I'm going to pick my bike up today. I'm going to cycle. What makes you want to do that?
What makes me want to do that?
Yeah. What do you like? What could you give listeners, like people listening in right now? What kind of tip could you give them?
Well, the first tip I would give them, if you haven't tried it before, try it. It can open up new horizons. It will make you fitter. It will definitely make you fitter. Cycling is one of the best forms of aerobic exercise you can do.
It sounds like, if you think about it, yeah, it sounds like great fun. Because what essentially you're trying to say is also at the same time, when you, if you look at it from this perspective, with regards to mental health, especially when you look at it with mental health, this is another way to fight it. I feel like you go outside, you meet more people, you interact with, socially, you will interact with more people, and you're keeping fit, you're making connections, you're breathing in the good and exhaling the bad. I feel like that's a great thing right there.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got a better way with words than I have, I'll tell you. But you're quite right. What you say there. You're quite right.
I've been doing this for quite some time. Hey, you'll get the hang of it.
I've been doing it for about 10 minutes now, so yeah.
That I can never really understand people staying in one room the whole day when you can have the world to see. I am a traveler. I travel. I love traveling. Traveling is just one of the things I do. And yeah, on top of my bucket list was, to one time, hopefully when I get there, go to Nepal and climb Mount Everest. That is one of that's in my bucket list. You're laughing, but that is the facts right there. I'd love to do that. That is something I'm looking forward to do, hopefully.
Climb Everest.
Mount Everest. Okay, not the very tip of Mount Everest, maybe the base camp at least.
Base camp, yeah.
At least.
Would you be able to cycle there?
Oh.
Welcome back to the show. Very good morning to you. Hope you are having yourself an amazing day so far. I know it's a Monday and I know it can be really hard to get back into the groove, to get back into the grind. But I want to remind you to go easy on yourself. Just make sure that you don't be too hard on yourself, which means give yourself plenty of time to breathe, give yourself enough breaks, give yourself time to readjust almost so that you can be as productive as possible. Set goals for yourself because I feel like that always helps me at least. Obviously, it's not 100% helpful, but up to a certain extent, at least, it definitely helps me to kind of focus myself as to where my energy needs to go within the day. So make sure that, especially on Sunday night, make sure that you get good sleep. And especially when it's a Monday, the day before, which is Sunday, make sure that you set a list out for yourself and you set some goals out for yourself. They can be as minor as possible. Make sure not to make them too complicated. Just make some small goals for yourself and get it done on Monday. And trust me, by the end of the day, if you do get it accomplished, you are definitely going to feel the sense of gratitude and the sense of accomplishment, which is absolutely amazing. Now, with that being said, I am Jaimmy, and this is, of course, the Chat Trap, where we keep you company with the best of conversation, and we talk about all kinds of things, okay? We talk about everything from entertainment to information and inspiration, everything that you need to know, we give you right here on Relaks Radio, which is why we want you to be a part of the show. Okay, go right ahead, call me up on that number that you see on the screen. It is 078-52473-473, or you could go right ahead and connect with me on our social media, that is Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and TikTok as well. Actually, we're giving you some amazing content on our social media, so make sure that you go show us some love, rather, on social media so that you can stay connected with us 24/7, 365. Because, see, like I always tell you, at the end of the day, what's most important for me is you. Okay, there's nothing more important than you having a good time, than you having some good conversation. So make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio. Comment down below, hit a like, that would be super helpful for us. Go ahead, do that if it's possible for you. Let me know how your day is going. If you want to join in and chip in on the conversation, you are more than welcome to do so as well. Now, earlier on, we were talking about something very interesting. We were talking about the importance of keeping your mind sharp. Okay, now I had to end the conversation pretty quickly last time, so I just wanted to add on a few things that we spoke of. I told you at the end of the day, no matter how old you are, you need to pay attention to your mind, right? You need to pay attention to not just your physical body, not just all the other aspects in your life. You need to pay attention to your mind as well, because your mind is a very powerful asset that you have. Okay, your mind is a very important asset that you possess. So you need to take care of your mind as well. And I told you how you need to keep learning, how you need to give your mind as much information, new information as possible. And we spoke about that a few minutes ago. But I also want to talk about this other way in which you can keep your mind alive and active, and you can, consciously reduce your risks of, memory decline. You could consciously reduce risks of memory decline and all of that. And all you got to do is use all your senses. Now, what do I mean by using all your senses? See, okay, this is like a very kind of scientific fact, but I'm gonna make you understand it in as simple method or in as simple ways as possible. Okay, so basically, the more senses that you use in learning something, the more your brain is going to be involved in retaining the memory. Okay, so basically, what that means is, say, if you want to study something new, or if you want to study a language, just reading or just using your eyes to read something isn't just going to help. Use a plethora of your senses. So, in one study, adults were shown a series of emotionally neutral images, each presented along with a smell. Okay, so they were not asked to remember what they saw, but later they were shown these set of images, and when they saw it without the orders, without the smell that was associated with each of these pictures, um, and they were asked to indicate which they'd seen before, they had an excellent recall for order paired pictures. So all the pictures that they had a smell with, they could perfectly well recall and remember. So basically, what this means is, make sure that you use a lot of your, that you use a lot of your senses. So one thing that I do when I study, especially, is to write and read at the same time. So whatever knowledge that I'm getting, I make sure I write it down and listen to it if you can. If you can listen to whatever you're learning, maybe like an audio form while you are writing, you are using a plethora of your senses. And when you use a lot of your senses, it just makes it easier for you to essentially remember what you're learning. The other thing that I do want to talk about is to believe in yourself. Okay, see, myths about aging can contribute to a failing memory. I truly believe that people are so worried about aging today that they don't actually think about anything else. Everybody's so worried about your physical aspects remaining healthy and remaining good, and you forget about all the other aspects. Okay, so middle-aged and older learners do worse on memory tasks when they're exposed to negative stereotypes about aging. And this is not just me saying it, but this is scientifically proven. Okay, so believe in yourself. Okay, this whole, I spoke about this earlier as well, this whole ideology that aging gives you a lesser ability to essentially study or learn is absolutely false. I know people who study with me who are much older than I am, who have such an amazing memory power, just because they've been believing in themselves, one, and they've also been giving themselves ability to learn a lot of things. They've been influencing themselves, or they've been pushing themselves to learn new things. So this whole stereotype about aging can contribute to a failing memory is not true. You can, yes, memory decline is a thing, but there are so many things you can do to prevent it. Like I spoke about, you need to learn new things, give yourself new information, read stuff, believe in yourself, and use all your senses as much as possible. Because I feel like we're living in a digital age and we kind of tend to just use our eyes all the time. We don't listen to things, we barely feel anything anymore. Just use all your senses so that your mind can be rejuvenated and active. Okay. um the other thing that I want you to tell just before I go on into a little break, I want to remind you to prioritize your brain use. If you don't need to use mental energy remembering where you laid your keys or the time of your granddaughter's birthday party, you'll be better able to concentrate on learning and remembering new and important things. Okay, so for example, what I want you to do is actively try to remember something. What do I mean by this? Okay, let me explain to you. For me, I'm really bad with roads. Okay, I'm so bad with remembering direction, with not essentially with directing people, but just remembering roads is something I am so bad at. But I just realized the reason for it. Okay, I'm so concentrated on my phone and on the Google map that I absolutely forget to look around me and see where I'm going. So now one thing that I try to do instead of, okay, obviously I do use Google Maps, but I try to use my brain to remember certain things. I'll be like, okay, when I get here, this is um, a landmark that I can remember. And when you like consciously make your brain remember things, it just helps your overall brain use. So next time you go somewhere, instead of completely relying on Google Maps or instead of completely relying on anything digital, rely on your brain a little. Because trust me when I say your brain is absolutely capable of it. Your brain is above and beyond of what you know. Okay, your brain is so much more powerful than you would ever know. So I want you to give yourself the opportunity to use a little bit of this power of your brain. Okay, so actively try to remember things, actively try to consciously, remember certain things. And when you come back to that next, that's going to essentially boost your memory. Okay, repetition essentially helps. If it doesn't work the first time, it's okay, repeat it. If you don't remember something, repeat what you want to know. Okay, space it out. Like I said, prioritize your brain use, designate a place at home. Okay, so if you're somebody like me, I spoke about this earlier. I told you how I'm 21 years old, but the reason I started to talk about this topic is because I have this thing that I do. Okay, so I live in a two-storied house. I actually spoke about this a few minutes back, but I live in a two-storied house, and sometimes I go upstairs and then I completely forgot what I went for. Like I went to either get my glasses or I went to get my car keys, but I go upstairs and I get distracted by something else. And I'm just like, oh, why did I even come upstairs? And that genuinely scares me. Like, I'm 21 years old. Is my mind already declining? The truth is, no, it's not. It's just I'm so focused on other things and I'm distracted that my brain kind of slips that piece of information. So one thing that I want to remind you, especially if you're trying to do a particular task and you feel like your brain is not cooperating, your memory is not cooperating, remove all distractions and leave. Okay, so for example, one thing I do is always leave the things that you need in a specific designated area. So, leave your glasses on the counter, leave your keys on the key hanger. Is that a thing? I don't know. But yeah, if key hanger is a thing, leave your keys on a designated area so that you don't have to put that extra pressure on your mind essentially, and you are not going to be freaking out saying, oh no, I forgot where I left it, I forgot where I left it. So create an environment where your brain doesn't have to go through all of that stress, and more importantly, use your brain. So don't rely on technology is amazing. Trust me, I am somebody that uses technology. Technology is amazing. But allow your brain to essentially use the power that it has, that I know it has. So give your brain the opportunity to use some of its power, and stimulate your brain. So that's something we spoke of earlier on as well. But if you're just tuning in, mental stimulation is absolutely important. That means learning new things. Do crossword puzzles, as lame as it may sound. Download an app on your phone that is a game that is mentally stimulating, because that essentially is going to help you be as productive as possible, and it's also going to reduce mental decline as you age. Now, with that being said, let's head on over to a little break, but I got a lot more to talk to you about, so make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio.
And it gives them something to look at, and it makes them laugh. It makes them laugh, so that's why I do it.
Oh, and it could be a really good pickup line as well. Ladies who ask, "Hey, excuse me, so why are you wearing something so colorful?" I mean, hey, you can always have something up on your sleeve. I mean, got me thinking. You want to stand out. Why do you want to stand out though so much, especially with these kind of shirts when you're riding? There must be a purpose behind it, right?
Well, when you say a purpose, Nick, what I do, I wear the shirts, mainly because they're nice and bright, so they make me visible, especially if I'm riding on the road.
Okay. Yeah, that's very important, right? Because you want cars, yeah.
Very important. And also, like, people see me in like calves, and perhaps I shouldn't be saying this on air, I suppose, but in the bar afterwards.
All right.
And it gives them something to look at, and it makes them laugh. It makes them laugh, so that's why I do it.
Oh, and it could be a really good pickup line as well. Ladies who ask, "Hey, excuse me, so why are you wearing something so colorful?" I mean, hey, you can always have something up on your sleeve. I mean, you look like a guy who would do.
You know me too well. You know me too well, Nick. Again. But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, "You've had one to forget," God, there'd be an inquest. Me, why did you reject my son? Oh, I haven't rejected your son.
I want to talk about, how the generation gap, has how much it's changed, especially when you check the youth nowadays in comparison, to people back in the day.
I'd say when I was younger, it was more disciplined. Not now.
In comparison to now.
Not at all. Not now. You know, the way things are nowadays, the younger generation, you seem that they can't accept the word no, if that makes sense.
They can't accept rejection, essentially, is all you're trying to say.
Yeah, they can't accept the word no. So if you, how did I do? Or you didn't do very well, and they get upset, you know. And when I was a youngster, my father used to say to me, because I used to be sport mad when I was very young, well, I still am sport mad, but like participating in different sports. And if I had a bad game, for example, he'd say to me, "You had one to forget." That's it.
Yeah, that sounds like a smart guy. I mean, yeah, that's the real fact of the matter. Yeah.
You know, he'd say to me, "You had one to forget. Get over it," and that was it. So I dust myself down and do it again. But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, "You've had one to forget," God, there'd be an inquest. An inquest. They'd for me. Why did you reject my son? Oh, I haven't rejected your son. Or daughter. I've just told them that they need to buck their ideas up.
That's the truth right there. I mean, if you think about it, if you check the generations, like right now in the US as well, I've seen a lot of these things as well. In the UK, you know, you get medals for participation. But what's the point? What are you trying to? Yeah, what's the point? Either you win or you lose. People are so afraid to put that whole notion of losing. You know, when it comes to right now, the generation gap is just crazy. You know how much. A lot has changed. Social media has taken control of our lives, and we don't even realize it anymore. We're crippled because of it.
That's absolutely right, Nick. Because, as you said, you know, nowadays it seems that you get rewarded for failure. You know, for the life of me, Nick, I can't get my head around that. Perhaps I'm just getting old and morbid. I don't know. I just can't get my head around how you could be rewarded for failure.